We'll get started in a child's pose. Big toes together, knees opening out, forehead resting down either onto the floor or onto a block. And you always have the option of extending the arms out in front of you or bringing them back next to the body, finding a position that feels the most comfortable for your shoulders. And it doesn't matter if you're practicing first thing in the morning, in the middle of the afternoon, or after a long, busy, stressful day. The intention is always the same. And that's the intention of presence, the intention of awareness. So right now, leaving the external world behind as you arrive and land here onto your mat and into your body. Feel down and in into the palms of the hands. Maybe you can press into your fingertips slightly, emphasizing the pressure there on the earth. Allow your attention to draw into your forehead, your shins, and the tops of the feet. Becoming aware of where the body makes contact with the earth. Sensing that stretching sensation from your fingertips to your hips as you reach your arms forward and extend your hips back to your heels. And from these points of contact, drawing into yourself a sense of being in body. And from this place, we'll start to connect to the breath, taking long, deep inhales and exhales through the nose, moving the breath like wind. Every inhale, breathing deep into the lungs, into the belly, and even down into the hips. Then allowing that breath to just streamline out through the nose. Inhale. Exhale, let it go. Using your breath and your body as anchors to hold you here within the present moment. And for the duration of this class, we set aside our computers, our cell phones, technology, the world of the news and of the media. We let go of all that noise, of all that busyness. And we allow our minds and our nervous systems to rest. Inhale. Exhale, let it go. From here, go ahead and shift your way all the way up to an all-fours tabletop position. Tuck the toes underneath the feet, lift the hips, and press it back into a downward-facing dog. Take a few moments here in your downward facing, checking in with yourself, scanning your awareness through the body, noticing the places that feel more open, more strong, more alive, and bringing your attention to the places that may be feeling more tight, more tender, more sensitive. And just remember that your practice doesn't need you to feel anything other than what you're feeling. If you're feeling tight and anxious, this is probably the perfect practice for you. Because as you work on that stiffness and you get that body more and more open and that mind more and more calm, you start to transform a weakness into a strength. From here, lift your right foot off the mat on an inhale, and then pigeon pose or sleeping swan on the exhale. Swing that right shin forward to the top of the mat. Let the knee flare out to the right. The left leg, the left foot relaxes down onto the mat behind you. Option to slide a block underneath that right hip to help mitigate any impingements there on the knee. Then as you're ready, allow that torso to drape out over that front right knee, right shin. Walking the hands out to your own degree. Maybe resting the forehead down onto the mat or onto a block. There's always the option to create a little shelf for the forehead with the fingers, balancing on the elbows. And if you're feeling super tight, another option is to take a block and place it underneath that back left thigh, using as many blocks and props as you need to support yourself. And if you're new to Yin Yoga, there are 3 steps we follow throughout class. The first step is to find your edge, finding that good deep stretch. And like with everything, we never want to overdo it, just a gentle lean into it. And it's important that you're able to discern the difference between good pain and bad pain. Good pain is like a deep tissue massage. You're working deep into the muscles, releasing all those knots, and it can be painful. But this is good pain. We know that there's a relief and that we're going to feel so much better on the other side. And then there's bad pain, which is a much sharper pain. This happens when bones are grinding into bones or we're pinching a nerve. So we use our blocks and our props to support us as much as necessary in order to avoid these kinds of impingements. So you find your edge, and then you find the stillness, seeing how much of your body you can relax here. And you use your breath. You breathe right into that right hip joint, allowing your breath and the sensation of the body to anchor you here into the present moment. And the last step is time. We hold these yin poses anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes, working deep into the connective tissues and spreading fascia throughout the body. And sometimes the biggest challenge in Yin Yoga is not even the physical challenge, but rather the mental challenge of not allowing your mind to start planning for something in the future or to dwell on something that's already happened in the past. And your mind will wander off at times. It's natural, it's normal, it happens to everyone. Just like your mouth is designed to create saliva, your mind is designed to create thoughts. So anytime you notice the mind drifting away, you can gently, compassionately return your attention back to the breath that's happening right here, right now, and back to the sensation that you're feeling within the pose. Bringing more flexibility and hydration into the body, while at the same time strengthening the muscles of focus and awareness. Medical researchers estimate that 90% of illness and disease is related to stress. Stress not only affects your thoughts and your feelings and your behaviors, but your body and your physical well-being as well. Which is why taking a break from our busy schedules and going deep into this practice is so healing. We're leaving behind the sympathetic nervous system, that fight or flight stressor zone, and we're entering the parasympathetic nervous system, allowing the heart rate to lower, the muscles to relax, so that you're not just surviving, but we're thriving within our lives. Staying with your breath, slowly begin to ease your way back up onto your hands. Roll over onto that right hip and swing the legs out in front of you. Maybe shaking out the legs a couple of times. From here, put a bend into that right leg, pick it up, and bring it over the left so the 2 knees are stacked right on top of one another, setting up for half shoelace pose. From here, raise the arms to the sky on an inhale, and then release down, lowering the upper body towards the thigh on the exhale. Grabbing on to wherever you can here. And if you're like me, you'll feel a tremendous stretch down the entire backside of the leg. feeling into whatever it is that you're feeling, and seeing how much you can release and let go. As adults, we're really good at gripping. We're really good at holding on to things. We're really good at attachment. And it's a lot easier to attach ourselves to something or to someone or a feeling within the body, a feeling within the mind, than it is to release. Releasing is tough. It can be scary. And it's really hard to let go at times. So challenge yourself here to go up to that edge and to find that release. Turn inside and let it go. Just a couple more breaths here. From here, go ahead and crawl yourself back up, taking your time. Bend your left leg in so it's right underneath the right. The shins are parallel to the mat, setting up for fire log pose. Right knee to left ankle to left knee. Maybe placing a block or a thickly folded blanket under the top knee for support here. Or coming into an easy cross-legged position if it's too intense. Finding your variation of the pose. And wherever you are, arms to the sky on an inhale. And then slowly walk the hands forward, hinging at the hips on the exhale. Feeling into the body. Connecting back to the breath. And working into the largest joint in the body, the hip joint. We hold a lot of emotions in our hips, so it's totally normal for sensitive feelings, thoughts, or memories to arise within the body, within this pose. Simply notice it. Feel into it. Come back to the breath and let it go. right, you guys, that's it for this one. Slowly make your way back up into an upright position. Release your legs. Swing them back behind you, coming into a tabletop all fours position. Scoot your knees back behind your hips, and we'll go for some hip circles, releasing any tension and just moving that energy around. When you're ready, switch directions, knowing there's no right or wrong way to move here. And from here, go ahead and tuck the toes, lift the hips, and press it back into another downward facing dog as we set up to do that same series on the other side. Go ahead and lift your left leg off of the mat on an inhale, and then pigeon on the other side. Swing that left leg forward so the shin is parallel to the mat. Release the back right knee, untuck the toes, and slide that right leg back, finding your variation of the pose, using your blocks and props however you need here. And when you're ready, slowly crawling the hands forward and releasing down to your own degree. And your body might feel different on this side. It might be more open, more flexible, or it might be more tight and tense. Most of our bodies are not asymmetrical. So just working with whatever you have here. We talked a little bit earlier about the emotions that reside here within the hips and deep in the connective tissues. And for a lot of us, this practice can be way more challenging than a physical, active, sweaty power flow. And that's because a power flow aligns more with the way that we live our lives. We're always on the go, constantly pushing ourselves. And this yin practice is the exact opposite of that. Here you are in an uncomfortable pose, and you're holding it for a very long time. So if there's anything you've been running away from, it now has the chance to catch back up with you. So you have two options. You can run away from it, or you can find that warrior courage that it takes to be with it. And here's the thing, life's too short to be holding on to the things that are bogging us down, or to be gripping to the things that are polluting our minds and hearts with negativity. It takes a tremendous amount of courage and strength to actually let that stuff go. And when we let it go, we create space. And that space is a tremendous, tremendous gift. When we get spacious within the body, we get spacious within the mind. And this allows us to no longer sweat the small stuff, which means we're no longer so stressed out. We now have the space and the focus to respond to things rather than to react. We'll hold here for another minute or so. And if your mind has started to wander, just gently bringing it back to the body, back to the breath. From here, go ahead and ease your way all the way back up, taking your time. Shift your weight over into that left hip, extending both legs straight out in front of you. Give your legs a little shake. And then half shoelace. That left leg comes up and over the right. The knees are stacked. On an inhale, sitting up nice and straight. And then releasing and melting down on the exhale. Using the next few minutes to fold in on yourself. Using that breath-body connection to hold you here within the present moment. Just a couple more breaths here. And release, slowly making your way back up. Bend that right leg in underneath the left, stacking your knees on top of ankle and ankle on top of knee. The shins are parallel to the mat. You find your variation of the pose using blocks and props. Sit up nice and tall, nice flat back. And then descend down over the shins, coming into fire log on the other side. Let's go ahead and start to exit out of this pose, moving slowly and methodically. Bring the legs behind you and make your way back into that tabletop all fours position. Scoot the knees back behind the hips and we'll find some more circles. Maybe closing down the eyes and really feeling into the movement. Switching directions if you haven't done so already. And from here, we'll go for puppy pose. So bring your knees back in line under the hips. Crawl the hands out in front of you and slowly lower your upper body towards the ground. Resting your forehead down into the mat. Spreading wide through the fingertips. Roll the shoulders down the back and extend back through the hips. Feeling into the stretch and elongation of the spine. Inhale. Exhale. Let it go. From here, go ahead and look forward. Drop the elbows to the earth, sliding your way forward into a Sphinx pose. So the arms are parallel, with the fingers facing straight ahead. The shoulders roll back, and the heart shines forward. And there's a slight press of the lower belly into the floor. And the goal here is to get comfortable, so you can rest your forehead down onto a block, or bring the hands to prayer position, balancing on the elbows, and resting your head down onto the thumbs. Just finding a position that works for you. Working deep into the connective tissues of the spine, so that we can avoid things like hunched backs and bad postures. And it's not easy. It's not easy to be still. It's not easy to be with discomfort. In fact, most of us, when we feel discomfort, what do? We reach for our cell phones. We turn on the television. We try to find something to distract us, something to take our minds off of whatever it is that we're dealing with. So to be able to sit with an experience that's uncomfortable, to not run away from it, to not fidget, to breathe through it, to have the wisdom that this too shall pass, that this is all temporary. Those teachings are really what help you within your daily life. So this is the time to practice. This is the time to train yourself. Now, staying where you are, or if you feel like going deeper, you can bring the hands out wider than the mat and press up, straightening through the arms, coming into seal pose. And for some of us, this pose is too intense. We're not here to push ourselves in an unhealthy or an unsustainable way. Yoga is about healing. And yoga is the opposite of a one-size-fits-all approach. So letting go of our egos and really focusing on what's best for us right here in this moment. Last few breaths here. And that's it for that one, guys. Slowly, mindfully release all the way down. Taking your time. Roll into your right side and slowly start to make your way into a seated position. We'll face the left side of our mats. Spread the legs out to either side, setting up for dragonfly, seated straddle pose. Point your toes, your knees up to the sky, so there's a slight outward rotation of the thighs. Sitting up nice and tall, nice flat back on an inhale. And then crawling your hands out to your own degree on the exhale. There's always the option of sitting up on a block, or maybe placing a block or a thickly folded blanket under the head, under the arms for support here. Working deep into the connective tissues of the insides and the backsides of the legs. Stimulating the abdominal organs here. Calming the mind. And releasing the groins. There's nowhere to get to. There's nothing you need to be doing. All you need to do is breathe and be. Breathe and be. Maybe using that as a mantra here to bring yourself back to focus when you need it. Breathe and be. Breathe and be. Just another couple breaths here. That's it for that one. Go ahead and slowly make your way out of the pose. Swing the legs out in front of you towards the top of your yoga mat. Extend your legs straight out in front of you. And then with your legs straight out in front of you, take your arms straight up to the sky. So big inhale, reach up nice and tall. And then seated forward fold, what we call caterpillar pose in the Yin Yoga. And because we're holding caterpillar for a long time, it's okay to allow your back to round here. In fact, that can be a very positive thing for the connective tissues that support your spine. So just letting your back, letting your spine naturally round. And each inhale, allowing your heart to extend forward towards your feet, towards your toes. And each exhale, allowing the chest to dip down. And if you feel any discomfort in your lower back, if you have any lower back problems, any impingements there, you're going to put a little bend into those knees. Again, always looking for the good pain and avoiding the bad pain. "90 seconds into this hold. And we start working deep into the entire posterior chain of the body, from the heels to the calves, to the back of the knees, the hamstrings, the spine, all the way up to the base of the skull, to the top of the neck. And as you physically fold, allow yourself to also subtly fold within, taking the next couple minutes to go inward. Nice and easily, go ahead and roll yourself all the way back up. Most likely you will feel some tenderness in your spine. That's very normal. And we'll come down onto your back when you're ready, taking your time. Hug the knees into the chest, maybe gently rocking side to side. Then we'll go for some twists. So extend the left leg straight out in front of you. The right arm comes out to the side like a T. And the right knee drapes over towards the left, coming into a gentle, reclined twist. Taking a few moments here. And releasing, coming back through center. Hug both knees back into the chest. Extend the right leg out this time, left arm out to the side. And then gentle twists to the other side. Releasing any tension there within the lower spine. Maybe the eyes are closed. And releasing. Hug both knees back into the chest. Curl the head in to meet the knees on an inhale. And then exhale, release it down to your final resting pose, Shavasana. Take your first few moments here to set yourself up, to find that stillness, that relaxation. And as the saying goes, he sat in the stillness and listened to the wisdom of his soul. It was there in the quiet he could feel his connection with the beauty of the universe. He was home. finding your home here, that place within yourself, still in the body, still in the mind. Last few minutes. Everybody, start to allow your attention to come back. As the attention comes back, just bringing with you whatever it is that you just dropped into. Reach the arms up over the head. Interlace the fingers, turn the palms inside out. Bring the legs together, stretch your toes forward. And then reach your arms forward, grab your shins into your belly, and we'll do a soft rock and roll up to a comfortable seated position. One last pose to seal in the practice. When you get up to seated, both hands in prayer position in front of the heart, eyes closed. Bring the back of the thumbs to the forehead for clarity of the mind. Fingers down to the mouth for thoughtfulness of speech. And hands back to the center of the chest, to the heart, for consistency of action. Allowing your yoga to shine through all that you think, all that you say, and all that you do. Be flexible and pliable within the body, and calm and inspired within the mind. Together we say, Namaste.